This is a sample of the information provided as part of the flexible training resources available through hasup.com. Our training courses are designed to provide training participants with an understanding of food safety and quality system elements and also offer user-friendly assessment activities and competency checklists to complete the training cycle. Foodborne illness prevention. Key definitions for foodborne illness prevention. Bacteria. Bacteria are microscopic single-celled or non-cellular spherical or spiral or rod-shaped organisms which are present everywhere. In the air, the soil and on human skin. Many types of bacteria can cause diseases, but others can be very helpful to humans. Foodborne illness. Foodborne illness, also foodborne disease and commonly referred to as food poisoning, is any illness resulting from the consumption of contaminated food. pH. From potential of hydrogen, the logarithm of the reciprocal of hydrogen ion concentration in gram atoms per liter. Provides a measure on a scale from 0 to 14 of the acidity or alkalinity of a solution where 7 is neutral and greater than 7 is more alkaline and less than 7 is more acidic. Ultra-heat treatment or UHT, ultra-high temperature processing or ultra-heat treatment, both abbreviated UHT, is the partial sterilization of food by heating it for 1 to 2 seconds at a temperature exceeding 135 degrees Celsius or 275 degrees Fahrenheit, which is the temperature required to kill bacterial spores in milk. Foodborne illness prevention development. When considering the development, documentation and implementation of foodborne illness prevention within food safety and quality management systems, the following information should be considered to ensure effective outcomes about foodborne illness prevention. Bacteria and viruses. Process control management, food preservation methods. Temperature control. Chemical preservation methods, about foodborne illness prevention. Microorganisms, in particular, bacteria, are by far the most common cause of foodborne illness. Foodborne illness is also commonly referred to as food poisoning. Symptoms of food poisoning can include diarrhea, stomach cramps and pain, paralysis, vomiting, nausea, fever, headache and sweats. For some specified groups including the elderly, infants, immune-compromised and children, the effects of foodborne illness can lead to chronic problems, sometimes even death. In this context, it is essential that the microbiological integrity of a product is upheld at all stages while it is being processed and for the entire life of the product. Food poisoning organisms can potentially grow during food storage or preparation in food business. They may already be on the food when it is received, for example, Campylobacter on raw chicken, or may contaminate the foodstuff during preparation, for example, Staphylococcus introduced by a food handler, or from a dirty environment, for example, Listeria from wet surfaces or Salmonella from rodents. To complicate the issue, some foodborne organisms can spread from one infected person to another. Foodborne viruses may start such an outbreak in a workplace. The symptoms of food poisoning include any or all of the following: diarrhea, vomiting, severe abdominal pain, nausea, fever, and headache. The severity of the symptoms depends on the organism, the dose received, and the person suffering the illness. There are 3 main causes of foodborne illness: presence of naturally occurring toxins produced by bacteria in higher than specified safe levels, actions of microorganisms themselves once inside the host human, chemicals or other contaminants. Food poisoning does not necessarily occur immediately after eating contaminated food. Most people automatically assume the last thing they ate the cause of the problem. An incubation period is required. This is the time between the contaminated food being eaten and when the symptoms become apparent. The incubation period varies between the different types of food poisoning organisms. In some cases it is measured in minutes, hours, days or even weeks. It generally goes without much thought, but the occurrence of any foodborne illness outbreak is far-reaching in its destruction of reputation, confidence and livelihoods, the reputation of your name and your business brands. Professionalism as a food industry professional. Capabilities to adhere to the required food safety legislation. Confidence in farm-to-fork food safety management. Your moral obligations to supply safe foods to those who loyally choose to patronize your food business. the businesses that supply your ingredients and services, the livelihoods of your friends, colleagues and business associates involved with your food industry sector, each individual working in the food industry, people who have a financial investment in your food business. Foodborne illness outbreaks are often caused by the following: bacteria and viruses. Bacteria and viruses are extremely microscopic in size. It could take millions of bacteria to produce a colony the size of the full stop at the end of this sentence. This amount of bacteria is more than enough to cause many people to become seriously ill. Chemical contamination. Chemicals are usually in solution and cannot be seen unless they are a recognized color. Food accounts for a high percentage of the total human exposure to most chemicals from environmental sources. Fish poisoning, for example, by ciguatoxin and scumbrotoxin accounts for a large portion of the reported outbreaks. Scumbroid poisoning is most often a result of histamine production in fish that have been improperly refrigerated. Heavy metal poisoning occurs frequently when acid foods such as lemonade and carbonated beverages come in contact with such heavy metals as copper, zinc, antimony and cadmium. Parasites. Parasites involved in most outbreaks are very small and cannot be seen with the unaided eye. Process control management, food preservation methods. Foods are preserved in a number of different ways and for varying purposes. The primary concern relating to food preservation lies with making food safe through preventing presence of pathogens and food spoilage organisms. In today's consumer-driven world, preservation methods have evolved to be considered regarding quality characteristics such as palatability, odor, flavor, texture, appearance and longevity. Food preservation methods include atmospheric control, cooking, moisture control, pH and acidity control, pasteurization, sterilization, ultra-heat treatment, temperature control, atmospheric control. Packaging protects the product from the effects of air, moisture, and contamination by foreign matter. The amount of gases such as moisture vapor, oxygen and carbon dioxide can be controlled in the packaging process. Oxygen may be totally or partially excluded from packaging, and replaced with gases such as nitrogen or carbon dioxide or a combination of gases, which will help to prolong the product life. The selection of light-proof or light-retardant materials can reduce a product's exposure to light that may otherwise induce spoilage. Cooking. Foods are heated to kill bacteria, yeasts and molds, and to neutralize naturally occurring enzymes, all of which will change the food if left undisturbed. Sterilization, retorting, pasteurization and blanching are all common treatments covered by the cooking sector in preservation. Cooking is also useful in making foods more palatable in texture, and also aids in changing the taste of foods distinctively. Moisture control. The most ancient and widely practiced method of food preservation is drying. Drying eliminates the moisture that microorganisms require for growth. The sun and the wind were the sources of energy used in earlier times to dry foods, and now dehydrators and drying ovens are most popular pieces of equipment in food production and preservation. Other methods of controlling moisture levels in foods include the use of chemical humectants such as salt, sugar and glycerin. These substances are very effective in controlling moisture levels in foods, while also leaving foods with textural characteristics that dried foods lack. pH and acidity control. Acid control has been a long-used method in food preservation. As microorganisms do not tolerate high levels of acidity in their growth, storing food in acid for preservation works very successfully. Pickling fruits and vegetables, meats and fish in vinegar has been practices for thousands of years to preserve these foods for use when they would have otherwise spoiled. Pasteurization. Pasteurization is a heat treatment used to destroy vegetative bacteria. It does not necessarily destroy spores or toxins. Pasteurization is a gentle process designed for foods that may be affected by very high and abrupt temperatures. Times and temperatures for pasteurization vary from one food type to another. An example of pasteurization is the method conducted for milk, which is usually standardized at 72 degrees Celsius or 162 degrees Fahrenheit or above for at least 15 seconds. Foods that have undergone a pasteurization process not contained within hermetically sealed packaging must generally be stored under refrigerated or frozen conditions. Sterilisation. Sterilisation is a heat treatment that destroys almost all vegetative spores and bacteria and spores. It is usually referred to as commercial sterility as some bacteria may still be present. The process usually involves heating hermetically packaged products to 121 degrees Celsius or 252 degrees Fahrenheit or higher for a specified time frame. Commercial canning operations are considered a form of sterilization. Ultra-heat treatment. Ultra-heat treatment or UHT is used to give a long shelf to foods otherwise affected by prolonged high temperatures. It involves heating to high temperatures. For an example, UHT milk may be heated up to 135 degrees Celsius or 275 degrees Fahrenheit for 1 to 2 seconds before rapid cooling. Temperature control. Temperature control is probably the most commonly used preservation method for potentially hazardous foods. The ability to control foods at low temperatures through refrigeration and freezing for storage, distribution and handling, and high temperatures for short-term storage of cooked product enables us to use temperature as a viable preservation method. Temperature recording and related protocols need to be scheduled and maintained as components of a successful food safety program. The basis of temperature recording is the ability to record temperatures correctly and efficiently in relation to adhering to documentation when temperatures are found to be outside of nominated boundaries. The following steps can be taken in initiating temperature control as a critical control point. Assess a food ingredient or product as to its potentiality to become unsafe if not kept within specified temperature bounds. Food ingredients or products may be regarded as potentially hazardous if they are found to become unsafe if not kept within specified temperature parameters. Such food ingredients or products should be nominated for temperature monitoring as part of the food safety system. Nominate a temperature measuring device to be used for each particular item to be measured, taking into account. Did you know that HACCP.com includes resources that allow you to create, manage and implement GFSI and HACCP-based food safety and quality programs? Improve your food safety and quality skills and knowledge? Train and develop your team to create better food safety and quality outcomes? Find suppliers and service providers to partner with your business? The information and training resources available through HACCP.com included a variety of formats, such as website content, MP4, MP4 and text, MP3, PDF and slideshow. Are you ready to take the next step in your food compliance journey? Visit HACCP.com today to create your profile and access the full versions of our food safety and quality information packages and much more.